Yes, people, how are we doing? Ricky here from Behind the Bars TV. So, in this episode, I'm going to talk about prisoner and screw/staff relationships and what actually goes on behind the walls. So, but a little update on where we're at the minute. The subscribers are just over 9,500. Which is going up really good, which I'm pleased about. So, as I always do, thank my subscribers for your ongoing support and the views. But also, at the minute, my training is going well. I've got a fight coming up in 10 weeks' time. It's a white collar boxing. It's for a charity event, a charity fight. But my training's going well. I'm bang into it at the minute. I've just done a 3-mile run and a little circuit. I'm doing circuits daily, and I'm also doing boxing classes twice a week and a PT once a week with the boxing coach. But getting into the video now, I'm going to talk about inmates having relationships with staff. So in the time that I've spent in prison, and I'm talking about nearly every prison that I went into, it does happen. It doesn't happen in plain view, so you can't like blatantly see it. Although you do get the lads that are like, if they see a female officer on the wing, they're like a dog in heat. So obviously they haven't seen a female officer on the wing and in a while. And some of the lads that have been in a while, I mean, the more mature lads and the more higher, should I say, like high class profile prisoner, they sort of have a bit more respect towards the female screws, whereas when you get into the Cat C prisons and stuff, sometimes if there's a female screw walking across the yard, you'll hear, when you're sitting on your bed, you'll hear the lads all wolf whistling out the window, but some of them are shouting derogatory comments at them, calling them all sorts of names, which is a bit... Sometimes, some of the stuff that they say, sometimes you just wouldn't say it to women, the way they're shouting at them, you know. But there is a lot of prisoners have relationships with screws. When I was in Frankland, there was a few lads that I knew of. There was one lad that he was in Whitemore prison. These relationships, they ended up going on to marry them. He ended up marrying her. Obviously, when they found out about it, she got sacked. He got moved. He got transferred up to Frankland. And she was coming up and visiting him. And they actually got married in prison. But I think it happens more in the long termers because obviously the lads that are doing long sentences, they haven't really had any female company, especially the ones that haven't got wives or girlfriends back at home. So when they're around these screws, they sort of get feelings for them, they start chatting with them, and especially if the screws are chatting back to them and they're giving them some sort of attention. It happens from both sides. The prisoner loves it, he loves the attention. He's never had any female attention. Sometimes the ones I'm talking about have been in like 10 plus years. So they really work on the charm to get on it, but sometimes the female screws aren't even that good looking, but they are to these prisoners that have been in over 10 years. So what happens is, when the prisoner's given these female screws compliments, the screws aren't used to this on the outside because sometimes they don't get as much attention, but then they're getting loads of attention in the prison, and they're thinking, they're a bit overwhelmed, because some of the lads, like I say, the high profile criminals, the most recent one was Curtis Cocky Warren. Everyone knows Curtis, who's been in the system, even people out here. He's got books out. He was in he was listed one of the richest in the UK, I think it was, one of the richest criminals or something. He was in the top 10 for all of his assets that he had and the money that he's earned through his criminal activities. But I needn't say any more about him because you'll all know exactly what I'm on about with Curtis, because he's in a lot of books. He's been in loads of documentaries. But the latest one was with him, and that was in Frankland prison. And the female screw that was coming in, they started having an affair. They found out about it. I don't know how they got onto it, but they did actually find out about it. Apparently, this is just hearsay. I don't know if it's true, but I'll just repeat what I've heard of hearsay. Obviously, he was splashing her with gifts and stuff. She'll probably, like I say, but I mentioned just before, she'll have been overwhelmed. She's got this multi-millionaire criminal that's high profile, everyone knows of him, and she'll be like, fucking hell, I'm getting attention off this guy. He's sending his money, he's giving his gifts. But I don't know what was going on, but apparently they said in the papers that she was taking stuff in for him, but I don't know if it's true or not. But that's just off what the papers said. But the papers also did say that when she got stopped and searched on the way out of the prison, when they got onto her, she actually had a hole in her pants, the bottom of her pants. So when she was going in the pad, it was easy access for him. But I don't know how true it was because the papers talk a lot of shit and this is just hearsay. But apparently that's what the crack was. She was going in, excuse the pun, she was going in and she had a hole cut in her pants so he could get straight in there. But when they found out about it, she ended up getting sacked and he got moved on. He got moved down to Long Lawton. I think he's still down there now and he's actually, I'm sure he's due out this year. But another one, a lad called Pedro, Colombian lad. He was, as you'll guess, Colombian. He was in for smuggling drugs into the country. I think he was, he had a lot of money as well. I'm sure he was a millionaire too. And he was going with a screw down at Long Lawton, I think. And obviously they fell in love. But she was a pretty young screw, blonde hair. He's fell in love with her. He's ended up getting her pregnant in the prison. They found out about it. She got sacked. He got moved up to Frankland. And she was coming in visiting him. She was on visits with him. And this particular day, I was sitting on the visit. It was me. I was sitting in, the seats were similar to these seats here. I think I was sitting 2 down from him and his girlfriend. I was with my family. On the table sitting next to me, I think it was Stevie Blackburn. And then you had Pedro and his screw girlfriend sitting on the next table up. And I remember me and Stevie looked at each other, started laughing, because Pedro had getting his missus she had a baby in the pram, and she was pretending to say to the baby like that, so she was leaning over saying to the baby, and he had his thing out like that, had stuck up the back of her, and he was shagging her on the visit while she was with the band. Me and Stevie looked at each other, were like, fucking hell, what the hell? What's going on there? It was crazy not doing that on a visit. The full visit room was full of people with families in. And there's this Colombian, Pedro, giving his last one on the visits. And this was an ex-screw. But maybe he's used to doing it over in his country in Colombia, so he just thought it was normal. But that was one of the maddest ones, seeing that happening on a visit. But he did apologise afterwards. He said, I'm sorry about that. But look, none of our family's seen it, but obviously me and Stevie, I think we were the only ones that cottoned on it when we looked up and we seen what was happening. But trying to think what else. There was a few, like I said, a lot of them was in Frankland when I was in there. And there was also, in the other prisons that I was in, mostly in the Category C prisons, there's a lot of I think the reason behind why they're doing some of these things is they're on shit wages, and they're getting a bit of attention, and they're getting a bit of money chucked at them, and they're just falling for it, and they're loving the attention. To be honest, let's have it right. Most lasses love getting a bit of attention, don't they? But obviously, it's just like the way they're looking at it. It's becoming the norm for them. They're in their workplace, and it's just like people going to work, sitting in offices or sitting in factories. And if they're with someone for a certain amount of time and they get to know them, they start falling for each other, and that's how it happens in the prisons. So I think that's why a lot of it happens. But like I say, a lot of it does happen because of money. money is behind it, and the like and the attention. So I think that's about it for that one. But corrupt prison officers. I've got more stories to come. I'll be telling stories about prison officers that are bringing stuff into prisons and stuff, contraband, illegal contraband, and the reasons why they're doing it. But if you keep watching, people, I've got loads of more videos to come. This was just a quick one. But if you do like the content, remember to like and subscribe. Once I get to that 10,000 mark, I will be dropping my first podcast. And I've got a few lined up for more podcasts. I've got about 5 ready to come up and do podcasts. So if you keep watching, people, I've got loads of good entertainment to come for you. So take care, people. Enjoy the rest of your day.